Thank you. Welcome to my webinar, everyone. Thanks for taking time out of your day to come to this session. I hope you will get some useful information out of the session. This webinar's title is Tips to Improve Performance. It's SSIS Part 2. I did a webinar a couple of months ago with pretty much the same topic, and there was a lot more information that I wanted to cover that I had time for. So I decided to do a webinar that's a Part 2. As you can see, my name is Tyrone Brown, and there is my email address. It's tybrown@pragmaticworks.com. And there's also a link to my blog called Natron the Sequel, and feel free to visit that for some more information on SQL. I'll just start off with a little bit about myself. As I said, my name is Tyrone Brown. I am a senior business intelligence developer here at Pragmatic Works. I've been here for about a year and a half at Pragmatic Works, and I've been working with SQL Server in various capacities, say now for about the last 15 years. So I have experience with the entire Microsoft BI stack. That includes reporting services, integration services, analysis services. I would say my primary focus has been with integration services. And I've worked in various industries. I always say it's easier to probably name the ones I haven't worked in than I have. I've been in healthcare, aviation, finance, manufacturing, and pretty much everything in between. I am a Microsoft certified developer. I'm a SQL Server 2012 certified developer. And I hold a math computer science degree from Bloomsburg University in Pennsylvania. If you've never heard of it, that's okay. It's pretty much in the middle of nowhere. I always say it's between Scranton and Altoona, Pennsylvania, which most of you probably never heard of. Unless you watch the TV show The Office, that's the Scranton I'm talking about. So there's a little bit about me. Personally, I reside here, and I'm in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And when I'm not working on SQL Server, which is rare, I like to play the guitar. I'm a pretty good bowler, which I spend a lot of time doing. And I like traveling, and I like fishing. And those are pretty much my hobbies. Okay. And so here is the first and second to last slide of the agenda. I like to keep the slides to a minimum. I've been to a lot of these webinars, and there's nothing I hate more than people going through a bunch of slides. So I try to keep this to a minimum. Before I get into this, I just want to do a quick recap. So the last time I did performance topics, I first discussed the buffer size when I did my last webinar. This one here, you also see this buffer size there, but it gets more in-depth. And also the performance hit of using select star or selecting a table within a data flow. And also within a data flow, I discussed a lot of the settings, fast load, table lock, things like that, to affect performance. And then I also went through the differences between using a SQL adapter versus the OLEDB adapter. So for this webinar, I found a couple more things that are a little more advanced and kind of obscure. These are things that if you are new to SSIS or even pretty experienced in SSIS, you may never even come across some of these things. I have, being a consultant, you come across a lot of things. But even these aren't the most common things, but they're good to know. And in some situations, they will be very helpful if you're working on a project. So the first one is the fast parse option. It's an option you can use for columns on text files to increase performance. And lesson 2 will be about the buffer, how SSIS uses buffers. And there are 2 settings in there for the buffer size and the amount of rows in the buffer that you can tweak to increase performance. Number 3 is parallel processing, which is executing multiple data flows simultaneously. So if you have 2 tasks that are not dependent on each other, for lack of a better term, you can run those at the same time, as opposed to running one, waiting for one to finish, and then running the other. And last, if I have time to get to it, I may not have time. I always put something at the end to cover if we finish a little early. It is the packet size property. I'll just give a quick overview about that, about network packet sizes and the defaults within SSIS. That topic in itself could be an entire webinar when you get involved with things like network throughput and all your network settings, but I'll try to at least touch on that toward the end of the webinar. Okay, so let me start off here. I will start with the fast parse. So I'm going to end the slideshow and go into integration services. Okay, so here we are now in integration services. So I created a package here that will show an example of the fast parse option. This option is it's only used within a text file source within a data flow, or it's also used in the data conversion transformation. So I'm going to use an example here. It's just going to copy from a text file to a destination. So I'll just give you a quick overview of the package. As you can see, it's extremely simple. There's one here. I'm just going to load a table back to product inventory. It's just a random table that I pulled out from AdventureWorks. I'm sure if you guys are all experienced slightly with SQL and SSIS, you're very, very, maybe too familiar with the AdventureWorks database. So just as an example, I'm going to use this table here. Okay, and so here you're just going to see I have a flat file source and I will show you the file. These are two components. It's a script component, derived column. They're actually blank. I just wanted to put them in there I'll show you later to explain how this process works. But they're there just to simulate, a real-world environment of something you would have. But they're just there mostly for aesthetics. And I'm dumping it here into this fact inventory table. So what this does is, first of all, it's only for columns that are integer data types or time and date data types to enable fast parse. So what this does, it will bypass the validations that are performed within that source file.